may be a little inconvenient, but it's not as inconvenient as fires and floods and mass migration and droughts and starvation. That's inconvenient.
I've been working with Greenpeace and a number of other environmental organizations to hold these Fire Drill Fridays. Greta says our house is on fire. We have to behave like it is. So we're having Fire Drill Fridays. We have to do everything we can now. This is the time. We only have 11 years. Leave our comfort zone and become more of an activist. The scientists now say that's what we need. We need massive numbers of people in the streets.
So not just vote, but a whole lot more.
Well, we have to vote. We have to vote for the climate. We have to vote for people that are not moderate, people who really understand that this is a time when it's too late for moderation, when we have to do something as brave as a Green New Deal. And then we have to stay in the streets to hold their feet to the fire. We can't just elect them and then go away. No matter how good they are, we have to keep pressuring with growing numbers, and if necessary, shut the government down.
What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want?
Well, anyone who has children or grandchildren needs to be worried about this, because we're running out of time to deal with food, water, clean air.
I feel like our elected officials are doing nothing to stop climate change, and yet it's an existential threat, and now is the last moment now is the 11th hour for us to take action.
The climate crisis is having impacts now. Right now, while we're speaking, there's much stronger wildfires, and we're having routine blackouts in the United States of America and in one of the richest parts of the country in California. So this is a crisis that affects everyone. We have 1 million species out of about 8 million on Earth who are predicted to go extinct. So this is an enormous crisis. We've done everything we're told we're supposed to make change in a democratic society. None of it's worked, so we got to resort to civil disobedience. So here we are taking the streets.
We're live here at the Fire Drill Fridays. I don't know about you, but I was super moved by a lot of what we heard this morning. Not just the idea that this isn't business as usual, we know that, but that this is really a matter of changing our relationship to the natural world and to one another. So I think I'm going to go get arrested, because we do have to put our bodies on the line, and our actions have to reflect our words. So let's go join Ted and Jane on the steps.
Laura!
Being processed by the Capitol Police along with about 30 other demonstrators, Laura Flanders Show creative director Matt Colicello interviewed Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, about her take on what's called for now.
Can you talk about right now and what this moment requires of us? Is this a business as usual moment?
No, so far from that. I mean, this is, I think, one of the most important moments in our history. And when you think about all of the things that are happening, we are in the midst of a constitutional crisis, first of all, with a president who is abusing the power of the Oval Office, that is completely disregarding Congress and the at least co-equal nature of our branches of government. And sort of at the same time that really difficult stuff is all happening, we have the most progressive, the most diverse House of Representatives in the history of Congress. And that is making a difference. When you have that kind of diversity, what you start to see is people responding to government in a very different way, and also a boldness of proposal, structural reforms, because so many of these diverse members of Congress come from really seeing the trauma on the ground of all of the working people, white, black, and brown, who are suffering. So it's a moment, as an organizer for 20 years before coming to Congress, I like to say that strength emerges in times of crisis. And that is, I think, what you see, a movement that is unifying, a movement that is pushing for bold change that will actually reform some of these deeply embedded problems that we have, institutionalized racism, sexism, classism, and I think pushing for something very different.